Hey everybody, welcome to another video with me, Chris Americos, and this video is about 20 different ways that you can say greetings and farewells in Russian. Yeah, how do you say hi? How do you say bye? And when do you say them and why? Because the context of saying them in different situations and to different people is very important. So let's jump right into this video. When you're saying hi to somebody, it's really important to remember that there are two different forms in Russian. There's the ty form and there's the вы form. And ty and вы are completely different. Ty is for informal situations, informal conversations, and speaking with people in your own peer group. For example, if we're at work, we usually speak with our colleagues and the people who we work with on a day-to-day basis using informal language. But if we speak to our boss or our boss's boss, then we might need to use formal language. We also need to use formal language when we speak with people who are older than us. Now, if they're just a couple years older than us or maybe a couple months older than us, then that doesn't count. I'm talking about people in a different generation. If they're a generation older than you, then you probably need to speak with them na вы. So when we talk about using formal and informal language, we can say na вы. This means to speak to someone using the word вы, which means that it's formal. And we can also say na ты. This means to speak with someone using the word ты, and that's informal. Now, there are a lot of other things that we need to also remember about Russian and Russian culture when we're saying hi and saying bye. For example, men usually shake hands with other men in Russia, but men and women don't usually shake hands. Now, I'm a foreigner, I'm not a Russian, and if you're watching this, you're probably not Russian either. So when you meet people, when you meet Russian women, then maybe they will try to shake your hand because you're a foreigner and they know that that's the custom in your country. But by and large, when you just have a group of Russian people, usually women don't shake hands with men. Now, women don't shake hands with other women either, usually. And if you've got a problem with any of that, you can write all about it in the comments under this video, because I'm just telling you how it is, and I'm not saying that it's good or bad or right or wrong. Instead, women usually greet each other and greet men by just saying hi with their voice and maybe with a little wave of the hand, right? Now, men don't have to always shake hands, but if they know each other somewhat, or if someone is introducing them, or if they're going to be working together doing the same activity, then usually men shake hands. They shake hands when they meet each other, and they shake hands when they leave. And when you leave, remember that you need to tell someone that you're leaving. Someone invited you there, you're with someone, and it's only polite to tell them, hey, I'm leaving, bye, before you go. If you don't tell people that you're leaving and you just leave, then there's a special idiom for this in Russian. It's to leave in the English way. Уходить по-английски. And this isn't very nice. Another thing that you should remember is that when you go to shake someone's hand in Russia, you should never do it through a doorway. Like if you're standing on one side of the door and the other person is standing on the other side of the door, you should not reach through the doorway and shake hands. This is a no-no in Russia. This is bad luck, and people will just refuse to shake your hand, or they'll tell you, come in and shake my hand. So don't be surprised if you reach out your hand through the doorway and the person doesn't reach their hand back. It's not an insult to you, it's just that they don't want bad luck. Now, sometimes women also give short hugs to say hello and goodbye. This is only with people who they're very familiar with, and they do this both with women and with men. Another thing to remember is that when you shake hands in Russia, sometimes it's really cold outside, and that means you might be wearing gloves. And if you're wearing a glove, you're expected to take your glove off before you shake hands. This is just seen as a respectful thing to do. It doesn't matter how cold it is, take that glove off, shake hands, and get it back in that glove so it doesn't freeze off. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you 20 different greetings and farewells. Some of them are informal, some of them are formal, so remember what we've talked about, and remember who you can use them with. Informal farewells and greetings are used between family members, peer group members, and people of the same age. When you speak with someone older than you or in a higher position than you, social convention dictates that you use formal language. And it might seem like overkill for me to repeat it all the time, but you really have to use formal language with your elders. Some people believe you should use formal language with anyone who you aren't on informal terms with, even if you're close in age. And there are those in elevated social positions, such as your in-laws, your teachers, your bosses, or superiors at work, and others who you're expected to use formal language with. So let's look at some formal greetings right now.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Hello. Using this phrase makes it very clear that you're addressing someone with formal language. If you say this to friends, they'll probably laugh. If your friends say it to you, then they might not be your friends. Usually friends aren't so formal.
Здравствуй.
Здравствуй. Hello. Similar to Здравствуйте, this phrase is more formal than many other greetings. However, it's noticeably less formal than the full Здравствуйте because it drops the formal ending те. This ending implies the вы verb conjugation that's used when speaking to either more than one person, вы, with a small v, or addressing your elder or a person of high social stature, вы, with a capital V. Without this ending, the word здравствуй becomes less formal.
Доброе утро.
Доброе утро. Good morning. This greeting is reserved for the morning. I'm not going to debate you on when the morning begins and ends, but it would be good practice for you to debate it with a Russian speaker. Like in English, you can also say this phrase to a person when they've just woken up. If your friend falls asleep at a party at 10 p.m., you can say «Доброе утро» when he wakes up at 11 p.m.
Добрый день.
Добрый день. Good day. Like «Доброе утро», this phrase is reserved for a specific part of the day. However, «Добрый день» is slightly more universal in its usage, similar to «Здравствуйте». My rule is this. If it's dark outside, I say «Добрый вечер». But if it's light outside, I say «Добрый день».
Добрый вечер.
Добрый вечер. Good evening. Saying this phrase is only appropriate in the evening. All three phrases, «Доброе утро», «Добрый день», and «Добрый вечер» are considered formal greetings. However, you'll often hear friends say them too. Next, let's look at some formal farewells.
До свидания.
До свидания. Goodbye. This is the most common formal farewell in Russian. It literally means until the date. And I don't mean a date on the calendar. The word свидание is typically used about a romantic date. For example, the phrase «У нее есть свидание» means she has a date. But «до свидания» is not confined to this meaning. Instead, it's used with anyone and everyone, but especially in formal situations. Similar to «Здравствуйте», it can be used by friends sometimes, but in situations where we address our elders or a socially esteemed individual, we don't have many choices, and this is the one we should use most often.
Всего хорошего.
Всего хорошего. All the best. You're likely to hear this farewell from people who you transact with. Taxi drivers, restaurant hostesses, even the flight attendants you see when you leave the plane. As a customer, you can also say this phrase when you're headed out the door. Just remember the rules of saying goodbye in Russian that we talked about earlier in this video so you don't find yourself in an awkward situation.
Хорошего вам дня.
Хорошего вам дня. Have a great day. This is another farewell that's common when interacting with someone you don't know. If you speak Russian to your clients, then this is an important phrase to remember. The expressions «Всего хорошего» and «Хорошего вам дня» are actually short versions. The long versions include «желаю», which means I wish. The full phrase would be «Я желаю вам всего хорошего». I wish you all the best. Or «Я желаю вам хорошего дня». I wish you a good day. Next, let's look at some informal greetings.
Привет.
Привет. Hi. Привет is the hi that is most commonly used with informal speech, whereas Здравствуйте is the hello more frequently used with formal speech. In English, hello and hi are so similar that the difference between formal and informal tone isn't immediately clear sometimes. Instead, they're rather interchangeable in everyday use. This is probably due to the fact that less situations are deemed formal by English speakers than Russian speakers, which leads to less strictly formal interactions where hello is required without alternatives. You can also say privetik or privetiki, and that'll be similar to the English hiya.
Здорово!
Здорово. Hey. This is the favorite informal greeting of many young people in Russia. You might translate it as hey or even yo. Although it's spelled with 3 O's, it's important to remember that the last and the first O are pronounced ah. Some native speakers of Russian will even write it zdarova instead of zdorovo. We also need to be careful not to confuse this word with another expression that sounds very similar. The intonation and stress are what set them apart. If you stress the first syllable, здорово, it means wonderful. For example, вот ваша pizza. Here's your pizza. Здорово, wonderful. But if you stress the second syllable, здорово, then it means something different. Привет, Chris. Hi, Chris. Здорово. Hey.
Салют!
Салют. Salute. From French, this greeting is mostly used by young people being creative. It's definitely not used in formal situations.
Салам!
Salam. Salam. Yet another example of foreign words that young Russians might use in speech is the Arabic word salam. And now let's talk about informal farewells.
Пока!
Пока. Bye. This is the easiest way to say bye. No matter how easy it is, don't forget that it's informal, and you're likely to come across as rude if you use it in situations where formal language is required.
Пока-пока!
Пока-пока. Just like in English, bye-bye or пока-пока is a light, friendly farewell. You're just saying bye 2 times in a row. It doesn't get any more obvious than that.
Счастливо!
Счастливо. Take it easy. Literally, this phrase means good luck or have a good day, but its use is probably closer to take it easy. You can say this in almost any informal situation, and this is another easily confused word due to its pronunciation. The intonation and stress completely change the meaning. If you stress the first syllable, счастливо means happy or lucky. Они жили долго и счастливо. They lived long and happy. But if you stress the second syllable, счастливо, it means take it easy. Мы пошли. Счастливо. We're leaving. Take it easy.
Не прощаемся.
Не прощаемся. We won't say bye. It's important to understand the context around some phrases before using them. Не прощаемся is definitely one of those phrases. The rules of saying goodbye in Russian dictate that we only say goodbye when it's the last time that we'll see each other. Typically, that means at the end of an evening together or when leaving to go to another city or country. It's true that different Russian people have different opinions on how long the trip has to be in order to warrant a goodbye, but most would agree that leaving for several minutes or hours isn't worthy of a farewell.
Мне пора.
Не пора. It's about that time. The word пора describes some period of time. When we combine it with a verb, it usually means something like I have to, or it's time to. For example, пора уходить, time to head out. The phrase мне пора could also be translated as it's my time, or we could say мне пора идти, it's time for me to go.
Ciao!
Ciao. Ciao. Yes, Russians use the Italian word ciao to say bye. Interestingly, in Italian, ciao can mean both hi and bye, but in both English and Russian, it's used almost exclusively to mean bye only, not hi.
Gudbay!
Goodbye. Bye. If you say goodbye in English with a Russian accent, then you'll say it right in Russian. Remember that the sound of in the word good, which is a short U sound, doesn't exist in Russian. That's why we should say the long U sound, oo, like in food. So instead of good, it sounds like good.
Bye-bye!
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. This one's fun to say. To make it sound really authentically Russian, instead of boring old English, make sure you pronounce the final y sound when saying it in Russian. English speakers tend to drop the end of the first bye in the phrase bye-bye, so that it sounds like bye-bye, but Russian speakers won't do that. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways to say things, and it's really important to learn more than one. Sometimes as English speakers, we get stuck using the words and phrases and constructions that are most similar to English. It's easiest for us to remember, and it makes the most sense to us. But I've found it to be much more useful if you venture out of your comfort zone a little bit and you pick up a couple other phrases and start trying to use them. Inevitably, there will be a situation where you use one of them in the wrong way, and it presents the opportunity for someone to correct you and for you to find out how it's really used, which will be really useful for the future, so that you have lots of different ways that you can say hello and goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, press like. If you're learning Russian and you need more videos like this and more lessons like this, press subscribe. If you have any questions, then leave a comment down below. And while you're down there, you'll see a few links. There's a link to book a consultation with me. There's a link to join my course. And there's a link where you can download some practice exercises. So check out those links down there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.